Well, as I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, Bonhams has got some nice sales coming up over in London, and I told you that we would try to get to them and talk about them a little bit. And we've covered it. We've mentioned a few of them so far, but there's another one coming up, and it's a private collection, and it's an unreserved auction. Again, unreserved. They give good estimates, but every lot seems to start at $100 with no reserve on the lot itself. And there's some very good pieces in this sale. They collected some awfully nice things. They've had several sales of this collection in the past. You may recall it, part one and part two. This is part three, and it looked like they held off some very good things for the third one. And I was very pleased to see it. The sale starts on May 8th, runs through the 15th, and this is an online only auction. So if you want to see the stuff, if you're in London or near the auction house, and you want to go and see it, you're going to have to preview it. You will not be able to see it, in attendance the day of the sale. There's no live audience for this. It's strictly a computer auction. Oh, and one more thing about the website. I know a number of people have been asking what's going on with it. It turns the identification service. I'll talk about this again on Friday for anybody that missed it. They screwed up the email service now, and we are now currently looking for another provider, and I think we might. We're looking at several, and we're going to make a decision in the next few days, and we're going to start with a new provider because this organization that we've been with for many years has always been very good, has just completely failed. They were bought up by a company called World Host Group. And from what I've read online, everybody that works for them hate them, and they've lost a lot of good people. And it's one of these colossal messes where a giant company gobbles up a little company and then wrecks it. And that seems to be what's going on there. So, at any rate, it's a saga. I apologize. The identification service is shut off for a couple of more days because it's not receiving emails. And right now, I can't even log into the site. So there's a little point on that. But back to the thing really here is to talk about this auction. It's a good-looking sale. There's some very nice Chinese ceramics. It's all Chinese. There's some very good Kangxi, Chongzhen pieces, Shunji pieces, Qinlong wares, and so forth. So let's get into it. I think you're going to like this. And there's also some early things like this. A very nice Southern Song Qingbai cup on stand. This looks like a nice cup on stand. Beautiful color, very refined Southern Song. The stand looks like it's the original stand to it. Often you see these cups and they've been matched up with another stand because when they're made, of course, and they have a stand and a cup, sometimes one of the two pieces gets broken and then you're left with the cup and you got to go find another stand for it to do something. And this looks like the original stand. You can check with them on it and ask them if they think it is. It certainly appears to be. Very nicely done. It measures 5 7/8 inches tall, and they've given it a 3,000 to 5,000 pound estimate, or 4,000 to 6,000 US. But I don't think that's unreasonable. It seems like a perfectly reasonable estimate, an accurate estimate, and the starting price is 100 pounds. All right, which is about $120, I think, in U.S. currency. And then over to this, there's a very nice Southern Song to Yuan Dynasty Celadon incense burner with fish handles on it. This is very attractive. There it is. There are the handles on the side. It's got a very nice even glaze, beautifully potted. Looks good from top to bottom. You have that sort of irregular edge of glaze that you often see on early Celadons. But overall, this is a beautifully done piece. It looks to be in very nice condition. The estimate is 3,000 to 5,000 pounds. $100 opening bid, no reserve. And then popping over to this, these are the early pieces. We'll get to the more recent, the 18th century Qingwares in a bit. But I wanted to go through some of these. This is an awfully nice Korean Goryeo period a Celadon wine pot. It's a beautiful looking thing. It's got an old gilt repair on the lip of the spout, which a lot of people like, so it doesn't bother me. And it has incise decoration of flowers. Here we have this great big peony or lotus blossom in the middle. It's hard to tell which it is. It looks like a lotus blossom. And the handle over here, it's got an old repair to the handle here down at the bottom. But this is pretty typical for these big pots from back then. It's fairly good size. It measures 6 inches tall, so almost 6 3/4 inches tall. It's got a nice size to it. It's very attractive. 13th century, estimated at just 2,000 to 3,000 pounds. So if you're a Korean Celadon buyer, you might want to look at that. And it's a very nice form. It's a beautiful shape. and it does have incised decoration, and it's got its lid, which is pretty unusual. Usually the lids are, long gone. Somebody takes it off, forget where they put it, and they lose it. And then we get into the more recent things, as we call them, the 17th century. Is this? This is a really terrific looking Blanc de Chine piece. It measures 10 inches tall, and it is obviously a vase. If we can get it to open, there we go. But the stand, you've seen these stands before. Sometimes they're made out of wood applied to it. This is part of the body of the Blanc de Chine. It's white porcelain. This is a very interesting treatment, and it has enroyé decoration or incised decoration going all through the body of scrolling vines. This is a very unusual piece of Blanc de Chine. Really, really is. And it's got these nifty with little roux heads on the end and curled foot on the bottom stand that was built into it. It's all glazed in. It's not two parts. It's one part. There's a little separation over here in the glaze. That's from the firing on the right side there. This spot here, that's a firing gap. When it cooled off, it separated a little. It's not a big deal at all, but it's a very nice and very unusual piece. There's a number of unusual. They had sort of an interesting eye, the whites. They bought sort of unusual shapes and forms. I think was really what attracted them. And for many of their pieces, they also have some very traditional pieces, and we'll get to those too. But this is a nice thing, and I think the estimate is low, 1,500 to 2,000 pounds, or 2,000 to 2,700 US. That seems very modest to me for a rare form. This is a rare form, and they may have done that again because if you go to try to look this up, you're gonna have a hard time finding another one. It's a very unusual piece. And then you have this very nice decorated Dewa figure of the Bodhisattva with his acolytes with turquoise glaze. Quite attractive, wonderfully done, bright, vibrant colors. I like the Bodhisattva, the multi-armed Bodhisattva, and then all the figures down below here at the bottom. It's beautifully done. It's Kangxi period, and it measures about 9.5 inches in height, and it's estimated at 2,000 to 3,000 pounds, or $2,700 to $4,100. That seems to be a reasonable range for it. But it's enameled Dewa, Blanc de Chine, with all these enamels on them. So I think that makes it very unusual. And I would check, if you're interested in this kind of thing, check and make sure the arms are all have been knocked off. I'm not saying don't buy it if an arm has been knocked off and it's been put back, but you want to know it to inform your bidding on it. But it's such an unusual, again, a rare form. I like that. I like the things that they bought. This is a rare and unusual thing. And this is another rare and unusual thing, a Blanc de Chine figure of a provocative lady, it's called. And it measures pretty big, 16 inches tall. This is a big piece of Blanc de Chine, 17th to early 18th century, Kangxi period, $2,000 to $3,000 estimate. But the workmanship on this is very, very fine. The facial features are very good. This is very typical of 18th century faces with the slightly bulging eyelids and this curly hair at top. And there's her hat, her cape going up over her head. This is a beautiful thing and wonderfully done. And she's standing here. Looks like she's got her skirt open. Oh, she's lifting up her skirt. And there's the base. So she is provocative. There you go, like a naughty Nancy doll. Any rate, 2,000 to 3,000 euros, 2,700 to $4,100 estimate. It's a very unusual form, and this was not the type of subject matter that you typically find in Chinese art. They were fairly modest about it. So it might have been made for somebody. This might have been a special order or somebody for somebody that had an interest in provocative things to look at, like the doctor dolls with the naked ladies and all that. And then over to this, we have this very nice Huande marked, but it's done from the Shunzi period, a Wutsai double gourd ewer. These do not turn up very often. And this was bought from Bob McPherson. McPherson's name appears a great deal through this listing, which is a good thing because McPherson sells very good stuff. So if you see their label on something, you can be pretty comfortable in the description being accurate and it being authentic. Because that's what he specializes in. And if you want to get interesting things, get in touch with McPherson's Robert McPherson. He's been around for a long time. He's got a very, very good reputation, and he sold this. This is very beautiful. It's extremely pretty ewer. I like that a lot. Looks like it might have a kitsugi repair on the handle here. It's possible, but the softness of the porcelain, the softness of the glaze, and the very finely done details. And I love these purple flowers at the bottom with a little underglaze blue here and there, and then this leaf design, vine and leaf design going up the handles and over the spout. I think it's very successful design. It's just pretty. It's just very, very pretty. And again, unusual. It's an unusual type, especially for the Shunzhi period, which was, of course, Kangxi's father. And let's see, how tall is this? So, just a hair under 7 inches. It's 6 7/8 inches, $5,400 to $8,100 estimate. Very pretty. Beautiful thing. And then over to this very nice first half of the 17th century or mid 17th century, I would guess, maybe transitional period, attendance with a ewer. This is, again, unusual, with an incense burner. I didn't mean to say ewer, but very nicely done. Looks completely all right. I like the cage work of the grill on top, but the figures are interesting, and again an unusual form. You don't often see these from this period, and the estimate is just 3,000 to 5,000 pounds, and I think that's very low for this. And it measures about, what is it, about 5.5 inches tall. It's not a big thing, but it's spectacularly interesting. And again, unusual form, and the starting price. All these lots so far have been $100. $100 for this. This is a good collection. And then you have a double spout teapot, Kangxi period, done with very nice Femi-Vert enamels. There it is. And this is a type you do see on occasion. They turn up here and there, but it's not a common form. Double spouts are not common. So if you're a teapot collector, you might want to get this. You might want to go after it, because it's unusual. It's beautifully decorated. The enamels also are in good shape. There's not a lot of rubbing to the enamels on the surface. You often see a lot of rubbing on with these enamels from this period, and you're not seeing it here. So that's a good sign. It's a 2,000 to 3,000 pound estimate, and it measures 6 1/8 inches tall, but very interesting. And I think the estimate's pretty reasonable actually on this. And again, the starting price is $100. And then over to this is nice Hongxi period, Ming dynasty, a peony vase. Nice looking thing. I like the handles on it too. The mask handles on it are quite big and dramatic. It looks like he's staring off to the side, and I like the way the cobalt is done. And Hongxi blue and white has traditionally, when you see Hongxi wares, there's a slight, it's not blurry, but there's a texture to the blue that's unlike what you see later in the Zhaijing period or what you saw earlier in other periods. It's sort of an interesting. It's not abstract, but there's a softer, less defined aspect to it. You see it on their charges all the time, and people love them. There was that sale in the Midwest that everybody went to watch with all that Mingware, and they had a number of Hongxi pieces in it. And this is a nice one. And what's a 4,000 to 6,000 pound estimate, and it is fairly good size, 12 inches tall. And this also came from McPherson's. Again, good stuff, interesting things. And then hopping along over to this, a large floral scroll bowl, Zhaijing 6-character mark and of the period. So it's a Ming bowl. It's mark and period. There's the bottom of it. There you go. Yeah, it looks absolutely great. But the details are very nice. The way the lappets are done around the base, and the potting of the bowl also looks quite good from what I can see. The shape of the bowl is very appealing. It comes up. It's got a very nice sort of cyma curve edge down here, and the way the rim reverts out just enough and comes to a rather refined edge. And there's not a lot of warpage across the horizon of the bowl. Often when you look at these, there might be a little bit of a wave in there. It's not unusual. It happens on a lot of them. This one doesn't seem to have hardly any at all, which is a good thing. There's another one, and the decorations are beautifully done. They're just very nice. They look very spring-like. And the estimate is 1,500 to 2,000 pounds, and that's 2,000 to $2,700 US, $100 opening bid. Then this, another nice Zhaijing bowl. It's not mark and period, but it is Zhaijing in Wucai decorations, the 100 Boys pattern on it. Again, very, very nice, soft palette. And there's a little bit of wear to the enamels down in this area, just probably from handling, people holding it over the years would wear it down just a little bit. But the pattern is unusual because you don't see Wutsai 100 Boys bowls very often. They don't turn up. You see the blue and white boxes, and you see blue and white bowls in this pattern, and occasionally a tile, but you don't see the bowls and Wutsai in this pattern. The estimate is 2 to 3,000 pounds, and it's 8.5 inches in diameter. So it's a good sized bowl, and the estimate is I think right in line with the rarity of the piece. But it's an unusual piece. Did you get this from McPherson's too? No, there's no provenance at all on it. It was published in a catalog the family did of their collection, that was done of their collection a number of years ago. And then this is big Chongshen period tankard. You've seen these before. A lot of museums have these. It's a fairly unusual form with these tapered tankards. Very, very nice. There's some of them in the Butler book, of course, and it's Shunzen period, and measures what is it, about 8 inches, 7 7/8 inches tall, and it's 2 to 3,000 pound estimate. But it's again a sort of a rare form and very early. This is very early for one of these. This is not mid 18th century export. This is mid 17th century work. It's very handsome. Very handsome thing. And then this. Now, this is something you don't see very often. We've all seen these catagons before. These puzzle pots are fairly common in blue and white, especially from the 19th century. Lots of them were made. They're very popular. People collect them all the time, and they always seem to do well in auction. People like these. They find them interesting. They're sort of a conversation piece and all that. And this one is in underglazed blue. And it dates to the Shunji period. So it's basically that mid 17th century, just after the transitional, so the tail end of the transitional period. Very, very attractive. Unusual form, measures 5 7/8 inches in height, just a hair under 6 inches, 3 to 5,000 pound estimate. But this is a rare bird. If you've always wanted to own one of these, every once in a while we see one of these in this form. The form is instantly recognizable as peach, shaped like a peach, but. And of course the fill holes on the bottom. Oh, and the other thing is too is it's also inscribed on the back. This is a rare thing. This is a really nice, interesting, rare thing. If you've been wanting to buy a great one of these, this is it. This is your chance. And if you look around, I think you're going to look a long time to find a Shunji period example like this. You're going to look forever. And the decoration on it's quite appealing. There it is. Pretty lady. And there we are. And then hopping along over to this, another you may recognize this plate. This plate with the underglazed red and the gentleman in the middle walking along of the monk. This is a well-known type. There's been several books that have even had these on the covers because it's such a striking image with that powder blue decoration surrounding the figure walking along. And the underglazed red on this is very nicely controlled. If you look through here, you don't see any bleeding or fading. There's no green areas and so forth. And that's a little bit unusual for these. Usually there's at least a couple of spots where you get some where the copper red turned green during the firing process. And I don't see any of it on this, really. And very nice. And I love his eyes. I like how he's got a startled look because he's looking at this. He looks like he's holding what is he holding? A grape or something? He's sort of just studying it. Anyway, this is a nice thing. It's Kangxi period, of course. It's 4 to 6,000 pounds, and it measures 10 1/4 inches in diameter. So it's a pretty good sized plate. And most of them are in the 10-inch size. Here's the back of it, pretty classic back of a Kangxi dish with the bamboo trees on it and the double ring and all that business. So anyway, take a look at that. I think if you're a Kangxi buyer and you don't have that plate, you probably should have it. And then over to this, the Kangxi brush pot with all the figures on it. They call it a spring evening banquet brush pot, the spring evening banquet. And it's very attractive. Here they are with the big table, people coming out, people opening up, the food boxes and all that business. It's a nice piece. It's got good-looking white. The back of it is fully calligraphied down with script. and it let's see, the estimate on this seems low. I don't know why. Somebody call and find out if there's anything wrong with this thing. 3 to 5,000 pounds seems very modest for this with a Kangxi blue and white brushpot in this subject matter with script. The script usually makes a big difference, so we'll see if it does. It should. Generally speaking, script adds about 50% to some porcelains just for having it. And it was, who was it bought from? R.G. McPherson. Not a surprise. And then hopping along over to this, the very nice, these ormolu mounted vases, iron red, these swirl vases. And these appear, every time these turn up in an auction, everybody loves them. Sotheby's has had them. Christie's had them on the cover of a catalog years ago. They're just very, very pretty. And they don't sell for $50,000 and $100,000, but there's always interest in these. And these have very nice gilded or gilt bronze or gilt silver bases on them. That's quite attractive. But the work on them is excellent, and it's a pair. You're still a pair, which you don't see very often. Usually the pairs are long gone. They're 11 inches tall, 10 and 7/8 inches in height, to be fair. And it was provenance from Nicholas Delamare Thompson from 1928 to 2010, and they were bought from McPherson at that time. I guess these people bought a lot from McPherson. It's not unusual though when you get a dealer that you really like. That's who you trust. That's who you go back to. And it's not an unwise way to collect, especially if you have a dealer who's helping you, who's as very, very active in the field, always looking and has interesting sources. And that seems to be the case here. And then hopping along over to this very nice, this is a Cornelis Pronk design dish. The decorator from Amsterdam who produced patterns for about 2 years in the 1730s, 1736 and 7, somewhere in there. And they were so expensive, they really couldn't sell them very well. They sold some of them, but my understanding was that they were phenomenally expensive during the period, like the price of a house practically. And these were designs that he did in Europe and sent them to Asia to be done onto porcelains, and they're very chic. And they did them in different colors. Sometimes they did this pattern with enamels. There's the most common dishes you see by him were the parasol ladies, and those were done in every color in the rainbow. And even the Japanese copied those at one point in the 18th century. But this is very nice, and it's only $1,500 to $2,000, which is very reasonable, I think. And it's 10 1/4 inches in diameter. I think that's a nice thing. If you've been looking for a nice piece of Pronkware, you might want to do that because this is a nice big size. It's a good size for one of these. You don't see Pronk dishes. I've never seen one anyway that's over 12 or maybe 12 inches in diameter. I think that's sort of where they maxed out. There may be some platters maybe in that size, but in general, dishes, no. Or plates, as I say. And then over to this very unusual Liberty punch bowl. It's for the British market, Qianlong period. It measures, it's 10 1/4 inches diameter. And this is Wilkes. I want to get this as Famille Rose Wilkie's and Liberty punch bowl. And this is a nice export punch bowl. And there on the front it says Wilkie's and Liberty. It's a political thing, obviously. And there they are. This is unusual. It's a rare thing. Again, rare. And the estimate on it, I think, is more than fair. Back in the 90s, if a bowl like this turned up in the market in an auction, it would have brought pretty easily somewhere in the it's a 10-inch bowl, would have brought pretty easily in the $4,000 to $6,000, $5,000 to $7,000 range, somewhere around there. The estimate now is $1,400 to $2,700 US, and they've come down about by half. They are coming back, though. As I've said a number of times on these videos, we're starting to see increasing interest in Japanese Amari and Arita wares, and the early stuff especially, and in China trade wares, because I think people are just recognizing how good some of the decorations were on those. Certainly, pretty much on a par with the imperial stuff. When they did it well, they did it really well. And this is a very attractive bowl. It's got a modest estimate, 1,000 to 2,000 pounds, or $1,400 to $2,700, which I think is perfectly in line with what it is. So if you're a China trade collector, you might want to look at that. Look at the Pronk piece. And then this, the Rose Medallion Dalsai Medallion Bowl. And this is a well-known type of bowl. Many of you have seen them around. They turn up in auctions. They produce these, not in massive numbers, but they produce them enough that they're familiar to many, many collectors. And they are really pretty. They're genuinely pretty. And in person, they're really, I've seen them in person, and they're extremely pretty. And you find yourself sort of marveling at the detail of the leaves here, the way they're done. They're so finely done with little bits of outline of blue and then colored in, but very delicately all the way. And when you consider there are multiple roundels on this thing, on different sides, and huge amounts of control and work went into decorating these. And that's one of the reasons they're so widely appreciated. And this one is estimated at 10 to 15,000 pounds, or 14 to 20,000 US dollars. But that's not out of line at all. They've sold for more than that in the past. I think they're keeping that estimate within, sort of down there a bit. But don't be surprised if this brings a bit over that high estimate. It is Qinlong. It is mark and period. All right, and that makes a significant difference. So that's just sort of a quick look through the sale. There's about 100 and well, how many lots? I forget how many lots there were. It's a heck of a nice sale. 89 lots in this sale. So you won't be there all day. There's also a very nice, some yellow dishes in here, egg yolk yellow sauces, Chunwa mark, but late Ming to transitional period here. And there's a Kangxi one. And there's a yellow dragon bowl down there with green enamels. And there's the only piece of sort of non-porcelain in the sale is this very nice mother of pearl lacquered porcelain bowl. It is porcelain, but it's got mother of pearl and lacquer over it. It's quite interesting. And there's all kinds of interesting stuff in here. Take a look. They've even got a Wrighton's cup in here. Over here, the water buffalo head cup. Very, very interesting. Scholar at his desk, you name it. There's all kinds of stuff in here to look at. So if you're looking for an interesting sale, I guess is the bottom line. And in the month of May, you want to check this sale out. I think a lot of you will find something in there that you really, really like. And always look at the unusual pieces. Always pay attention to those. I find that over time, you begin, and when you own unusual forms and rarer forms, over time they really work their way into your collecting mindset, because you appreciate them for being not necessarily unique, but sometimes unique, but very interesting. All right. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back this week with more. We're working on the website. Don't worry, but it's sort of out of my hands. And as I said, we're looking at several new providers. So we'll hopefully get this nightmare over with. I haven't slept well in a week. And we go from there. All right. Have a great week. Join us over on Patreon. Subscribe here if you haven't yet. Please subscribe. It's good to see people joining. And we'll see you on Friday, if not before. All right. Bye-bye.